Hi, guys. We're live, and I'm with Patricia Hueneke, our amazing spiritual healer and Ayurveda lifestyle coach. Hey, Patricia, how are you this morning?
Right, thank you. Lovely to see you all.
Awesome. Okay, I've just looked at our pages and we are live, so that's good. Just trying to see if you came on properly as well. Just checking. Here we go. Awesome.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
There seems to be a bit of a time. Yeah.
Yes, there's a little bit of a delay between when we actually do the speaking and when it comes out on Facebook, and that's fine. We're clear on Facebook. I've got it. Oops, where were we here? All right. Well, this morning we have an amazing topic, and Patricia and I was talking to Adam.
Interference, Michelle. Some interference.
We still have that clicking. Where is that coming from? Let me just try and see where that's coming from. Let us know where you're joining us from. Say hello while we're dealing with some questions, some technical difficulties at the moment. Let me just see.
Yes, you still have that clicking sound, so there's something going on.
Yeah. I've got nothing turned on anymore here. So I don't know where that's coming from. Okay. Quit. All right. Okay. Hopefully that stops. Okay. Anyway, this morning we are going to be talking about herbs, water,
still clicking,
air, energy healing. You know, Patricia and I have so often talked about healing in different manners, in different aspects, and in different forms. Patricia, I was talking to Adam before this chat, and I was saying, I said, do you realize we have known Patricia for 19 years? Patricia, can you believe that?
Wow.
Yep.
Yes.
I first came to you after Natalie was born because of my Crohn's. So, sorry, 18 years, not quite 19, 18 years now. So that's quite a long time. I was thinking at first, maybe we've known each other for 10 years. No, definitely longer than that.
Michelle, you've still got some interference happening there in your sound. It's coming in and out.
Okay. Not quite sure where it's coming from. Okay, let's see that again. I've never had that happening before. Let me just try and see what else might be open that I should turn off here. Bear with us, guys. For all of you watching us, just bear with us for a bit. Okay. Let's try that. Hopefully that solves it.
Yes, okay. I can't hear it now. So, yeah.
Anyway, it seems to be something that pops in and out.
Yeah.
That's right. So, Patricia, you have been in practice for quite some time now. And I remember I was telling you the last visit I had that you were my very first herbal medicine teacher. You taught me how to create my first herbs. You taught me how to create my first capsules. That's right. Extract, capsule, and what was the other one that you taught me? Capsule, extract, oil, tincture, oil, and essence. Yes.
Yeah. So yes, that was quite some time ago when I was doing a lot of classes on herbal medicine, and there was a lot of enthusiasm at that time for learning about herbs and getting back to natural healing. And actually, I found it when I started getting back to that years ago too. It was a very empowering thing because you could actually grow the herbs. You could use them in culinary ways. You could use them for cooking. You could use them for teas. You could use, and then the natural progression was to make medicines from them. And that's what I did, and I found that very empowering on my healing journey. And that's what I tried to sort of, I suppose, impart to others in the classes too, and they found that too. There was a hands-on thing of actually doing things, making creams, making tinctures, making ointments, making oils, making things, and learning about the essential nature of the healing powers of the herb through the experience of doing things with them. The herbs, then the plants then start to, well, they start to tell you, they start to speak to you, you start to get a relationship with them. And they start to reveal their secrets and healing properties to you. And this was a beautiful sort of experiential adventure in learning about nature and in learning about healing and making that connection again with the earth, which is just so important with healing, to connect again with the earth, because the earth is our mother and provides everything for us. So it was just a beautiful experience to teach those classes for so many years, and of course that developed, for you too.
That's right. And I think one thing that some people don't quite understand, if you're not, I'm going to try and do this while I'm speaking. One thing that people actually find fascinating or maybe not quite understanding is when you haven't had the opportunity to actually learn about herbs, it may be quite weird, if I can use that word, to actually say that you hear from herbs, that you connect with the herbs. But this was something that Patricia used a lot, that those words of, you hear from nature, you hear them call you, that I couldn't quite understand until I started learning about herbs. And I remember doing a bushwalk with Klaus, Patricia's husband, and he said, "Let me introduce you to the herb, because once you're introduced to the herb, you will know them forever." And I thought, whoa, that's a very nice way of saying it. And he was right. Once introduced to the herbs, I knew them. And every time I pass by or I'd see that herb again, I recognized them. And you used another amazing phrase the last time we spoke, and you said, call the herbs in your mind and give it to yourself if you don't have it right now. And we were talking about St. John's wort. And I did just that. I did that with yarrow as well. And it was so interesting. How does that happen?
Well, once you get to know the herb and you build a relationship with them, with the healing properties of the herb, and you have a memory of that and you've used it and you know it, well, you can call it any time like you call a friend. You can call in the energy. Sounds weird, but it actually works. Just like, you're calling in an energy, aren't you? You're calling in something that you know, that you've experienced, and it just comes to you.
That's right. And what I want to talk to people about is, in this day and age, and I will say day and age, but in our time right now with Corona, with all this illness, what I've realized that people haven't tapped into is they haven't really tapped into their ability to call on healing for themselves, to call on healing for their family, and to call on the strengthening ability of all the herbs around us to actually protect us during this difficult time. And I wanted to have you explain to them how we can actually tap into that energy, Patricia, because as we were talking about the other day, there's energy in our herbs, in water, in air, within ourselves. There's energy in food. So the ability to tap into those energies is something our ancestors had, and we've just kind of lost touch. So what is it? How can we do it?
Well, one of the ways we can do it is first of all, reconnect in some way with nature. Get out in nature. And this is what people are discovering now, you know, even going for walks in nature, observing things around you, being in your garden, letting go of the busyness of everyday life and just getting outside in the sunlight, in your garden, going for walks in your parks, going for walks in the bush. I once went on a 6-day bushwalk in the Namadgi area close to us here, and with my husband Klaus, and it was just an amazing experience, because when you're just away from everything and in nature, you there's nothing around you to distract you, so you start sort of observing everything around you, and you start getting into that space of observation, right? You start observing everything around you and noticing everything, which you just don't do when you're busy. So, you know, the healers used to call this getting in touch with our second attention. That is the attention of everything around you and seeing and noticing things, right? And then you find that you start building a relationship with nature. And you build a relationship too with the elements of nature within your body, and you start observing how you're actually feeling. You're not just rushing around thinking what to do next and whatever. You start to feel how your body's feeling, and make that connection again. One of the great tools that I've used over the years, meditation. So I find that actually going into that quiet space of meditation really helps you, especially into the heart space. It really helps you to connect with your own inner knowing, with your own inner intuition and senses, which we all have. But we can't connect with that when we're sort of rushing around busy, worrying about everything. We actually have to take the time to do that. And that's what a lot of people are starting to do in this COVID time, because they're working from home a lot. They may not be working at all. And of course, they're suffering because of that financially. But at the same time, they've got time. We've got time to go within, time to think about where we're at, time to sort of reconsider our lives and where we're going. And this is just a really important thing, to have that attitude of going within and also of observing everything around you, rather than just, you know, rushing from one thing to the next. Yeah.
That's right. I love what you've just said there, Patricia. And I think one of the things that people forget is to look at the signs around us, because everything points to a sign, to, you know, what we need to do next, what we need to listen to next. And what I realized is, after I went to you for my frozen shoulder, you said, well, you know, you did that when you were trying to do a handstand, and you were trying to go upside down and do things differently. And I thought, wow, that's a very amazing word. I was trying to change things unknowingly. My mind and my spirit was saying, let's try and do something different. And I've kind of stopped it, because I don't want to do anything different. And you know, the chaos in my system might be around that. But the same with COVID. It's almost like telling the whole world, hold on, guys, just stop, stay put, see what you've got, you know, embrace family around you, and protect yourself first. Because isn't that what it's all about? We need to protect ourselves and our family first. And then if we do that, we are actually more able to open ourselves up to others. So could that be it? Could that be like, you know, teaching us to just listen again, listen to what's within us and what's within our family and our core, right?
Yeah. Most
So
certainly. It's all about, and when we're quiet, when we sort of listen to the heart, listen to our inner knowing, it starts to speak to you. It's like we become the witness, don't we? And it starts to, we get some aha moments, and we thought, oh, I haven't thought of that before. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, we start to notice things. We start to listen, and we start to get in touch with that part of ourselves that knows instinctively what to do in any given situation. For example, when COVID first came out, I was actually connected with a group here in Canberra that, well, that was about February, with a group of naturopaths and healers, and we came together, and a homeopath came together as well, and we actually started to discuss what we could do to protect our immune systems, to enhance our immune systems, etc. And a homeopath came up with a homeopathic vaccination for the virus, not on a chemical level, but on a physical level. They do it with physics, not with chemicals. And we were invited to take that. We were told about lots of supplements that we could take, like vitamin C, zinc, echinacea, garlic. And when I went within, I got a very strong message from spirit, and you're connecting with your spirit then, of course. I got a strong connection from spirit, that one of the remedies that I really needed to make, and a tincture that I really needed to make to help people at this time and help myself, was a tincture of nasturtiums. Nasturtiums. Now, you may know nasturtiums. And I started to then connect with the nasturtiums. I didn't have them in my garden, but I put out a message on Facebook, and a lady that I know from the Spirituality Church of Canberra here had them growing, had a few left because it was sort of at the end of summer into autumn. She had a few left, and I went out there to see her, and I got the plant, and I made a tincture there right then. We meditated on it. We looked also at the background of the healing properties of nasturtiums, which had a lot of respiratory stuff in it, and seemed to be sort of really spot on. And then what I did was ask people, my clients, if they wanted an immune tonic to help with building their immune system, strengthening their immune system for this situation. And I included other herbs as well, respiratory herbs, cat's claw and golden seal and echinacea and garlic and lungwort, which is for the lungs, various things like that, and of course the nasturtiums. And truly, they walked out the door. I could hardly make enough bottles of this magical potion. And every time I went out, I just took it. I even put it in a spray form so you could spray it straight in your mouth, perhaps better than wearing a mask, or as well as. And people just, had that feeling that, right, okay, virus, come at me, and, I'll let you know what's going on.
That's right.
Let me know what you're tell me, because viruses are life forms and they're trying to tell us something. And that's the experience I had when I took the homeopathic vaccination too. I got this incredible sort of feeling. I took quite a high potency of it, if you know what homeopathy is, some of you, a 1M potency, and I got all this awareness of what this is actually bringing. And it was bringing these very things that we were talking about, of slowing down, going within, seeing your life from a different perspective, getting in touch with nature. And yeah, it brought in a whole new consciousness, a whole new awareness. And that is what is actually happening. Of course, people are suffering and people are dying. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, it's bringing in a whole new consciousness for humanity. And this is what's happening. So it's a very interesting phenomenon.
That's right. But the very first type of energy healing you've encountered, was that with herbs? Was that with the plants around you? And how did that come about?
Well, I was about I was about 33 or so at the time, and I had a goiter, and I had a lot of thyroid problems, and I went to the doctor, and I had an obvious goiter, right? And the blood test showed that everything was within range, but then the doctor looked at my neck and could see that there was a big swelling there, and he looked at the blood test and he said, well, I don't know what's going on here, but it's not showing up. So it gave me an idea that perhaps I need to look at this from a different perspective. So I started. Well, I saw a homeopath actually. I had that tradition from my family, I suppose, especially through my mother, my German mother, who was into that sort of thing. But I wasn't really at the time. And I went to a homeopath, and that started my healing journey, I guess. And then I started learning about herbs through the Hierophant and Kim Dudley and Tim Thomas here in Canberra, who had just come in and were at the forefront of that in Canberra, of teaching about herbal medicine. I also, the first class I went to, I also found out about a herb called mullein, which grows on all the hills around Canberra. And my son had he was about 3, and he had a dreadful, dreadful cough. He had so many antibiotics and ear infections and whatever. And I was at my wit's end because his teeth were even coming up black from all the antibiotics he was taking. So the first herb I learned about when I went to the herbal class, that was in 1986, I think, yes, was mullein. And it's about, otitis, ear infections, and it's been used to treat bronchial infections, respiratory infections, but especially the ear infections, which a lot of kids were having at that time. And I gave it to my son, and, well, he got better. He got better. After 6 months of taking the herb, he never, ever had an ear infection ever again. And it changed his whole life. And he even knows that. I feel quite emotional about it. He knows that. And from then on, I was hooked, I suppose. I was hooked on herbs. I was hooked on healing. And I started learning about them and teaching about them and using them. And people started coming to me. I then found out, of course, that I've had many, if you relate to past lives or whatever, I had many past lives doing this sort of work before. But I didn't find that out till later. It was just an instinctive thing to go back to the earth, for healing, that was going to help me. It just sort of arose within me, I suppose. And I had that idea that, yeah, nothing is no illness is final. If you get a disease, it's showing you something that needs attention. It's an opportunity to heal something, rather than getting stuck in, oh, I've got this terrible illness that I'm going to be living with for the rest of my life, and it's going to whatever, and I'll just have to keep taking some pills. And not that sometimes you don't have to take pills, of course you do. But I just had that idea that it's showing me something that I can move on. And I didn't feel sort of stuck in it, if you know what I mean. I've had my share of diseases, because that's what we're here to do on this earth, to grow in consciousness and awareness. And that's one way it shows you, because otherwise you don't notice it. But every time you do healing, you come to a new awareness about your life, don't you? You learn something, you experience something, you grow, your soul grows, and you get that closer connection to your spirit and to your own inner healing power. And that's what's just such a wonderful thing on this path. And you've noticed that too, haven't you, Michelle?
Yes. And I think what I realized as well is that, prior to herbal medicine, prior to learning about healing energies, I was the same. I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is it. There's something wrong with what I've done, and I've got to pay for it, and I'm gonna have this. And it's almost like you're being a person who just doesn't do anything but complain about what you've got, rather than find the problem and fix the problem. So when you start tapping into the healing energies, you realize that you can be a problem solver, that you can treat every illness that comes your way as a way to learn about it and spread the word, so that you can actually teach others. I got dengue, Patricia, twice when I was living in Sri Lanka. And in both times, I didn't get debilitated. I stuck to boosting my immune system straight away. And I worked immediately on, identifying what was weak and what needed to be strengthened. And because of that, a lot of the people who had dengue previously said, you know what, the second time you get dengue, it's more deadly. I actually could now say, no, actually, I got it twice. I was fine. I said the second time I really felt it. It lasted a little bit longer, but I wasn't debilitated. I even traveled the second time around. And the only thing that I knew better was I knew how to build my immune system straight away. So when I had to do my trips, my first stop was in Melbourne, and I went and had a vitamin C infusion. So I was infused with vitamin C, with glutathione, and with other supplements that boosted my immune system. And it almost was like I didn't have the dengue. You know, it's my body just lifted itself up. So again, it was a chance to just learn about this illness that until now is affecting so many others, and be able to say, no, boost your immune system and you'll be able to beat that. So that's how I see issues right now. And that's how I'm seeing my frozen shoulder. Remember, I was saying, well, I was wondering if it was because I was carrying the weight of the world on my shoulder, you know, having all these stresses in my mind. And but then again, I'm also thinking, you're right, maybe it's about turning things upside down, making changes. And in the process of making those changes, I'm able to find a remedy that will actually build my system up. Because for all of you that are listening, we're not saying that any particular herb can cure it all, but you know, it's our ancestors knew it. Our medications come from herbs and from plants. We're not claiming any specific cure, but what we're saying is you provide your body what it needs, and your body can heal itself. Your body has the ability to reboot itself and bring you back to optimal health, bring you to top performance. And that's all what that we're sharing here. So until you're able to open yourself up to your body's ability to heal, then you're just stopping it from being able to do its optimal best. Isn't that right, Patricia?
Yeah. Yes, it certainly is. And connecting with that healing ability takes all sorts of forms, I guess, and we're surrounded by them. Herbs is one way. There are lots of different ways. I'm using a lot of crystal lights at the moment to bring in the light energy to people. It's about facing some of your fears. It's about facing some sort of thought patterns that you might have that don't serve you. It's about connecting really closely with your spirit, and you can do this through meditation and other ways. And just, I suppose, connecting with your spirit. And when you start to do that, it becomes sort of like a path of personal and spiritual development. You're not just looking at sort of disease as such. You're looking at understanding that this life is a journey of experiencing various aspects of life, no matter what they are, and gaining in consciousness, gaining in soul growth, and gaining in also in your personal growth of being able to interact better with people and with the world and with your work and with your family, and be a more loving person. You're really connecting with that part of your soul and your spirit that expands you. And and this has been a very, and still is, a very exciting journey for me. But I've also done things like spiritual development, light healing. I've done, I've even done things like spiritual surgery and things like that. So it just expands your sort of consciousness about what is available here for us if we are open to it. And of course, the idea is that the proof is that something changes in your life. You notice it, something changes, something is different, and this is sort of the proof in the pudding. So we're not getting lost in some sort of a delusion or illusion about something, because we see that there is some sort of a physical change as a result of a healing modality or a healing action that we've taken, whatever that is. So it comes in the form of how you're feeling about yourself too. I noticed on my meditation journey that at some point I was just sitting doing something here in my clinic, and all of a sudden I felt this incredible sort of feeling of joy just bubbling up through me. And I thought, well, where does that come from? It wasn't coming from anything that had happened around me. It was coming from within me. So it's that feeling of getting in touch with more of the, the positivity of who you really are and understanding who we really are. And I have also used this in my healing work through my connection with that golden light of healing, which I talk about in my book, Living in the Golden Light. So when we come in touch with that sort of golden light energy, that positive, creative energy, which we all have within us, and start to bring it out and start to imbibe it and use it in our lives, it just changes everything. We, as I'm teaching now, we go from struggling in life to starting to thrive. And I'm doing a 6-week program very soon about that, from struggle to thrive, about how we can get in touch with that golden light energy within us and around us, and how it changes everything. So we're getting in touch with the divine part of ourselves, which we all have, and using it in whichever way we're guided to use it. Even in mundane things and tasks of cooking our food or looking after our family or our work or whatever that is, when we do it from that space, life just takes on a sort of a different dimension. We still have ups and downs, we still have our challenges and whatever, but we somehow, when we're in touch with that healing energy, and the golden light is a wonderful healing energy, when we're in touch with that, everything takes on a different hue, a different perspective, a different we have a different consciousness about what's going on around us, and our life just starts to expand exponentially. It's quite amazing, really. Yeah.
That's
You
right.
found
I think if we go back to basics with that, Patricia, I mean, we all know the healing energy we get from the sun. That's the first one that always pops into my head. People forget how healing the sun is. When you're depressed, you go out in the sun, and it just lifts you up. When we have plants that are wilting inside our homes, we bring them out, they come back to life. And life is really what's in that sunlight, in those in when
right.
the rays of the sun touches you. But the other thing that I always get into is, for the Christians out there, God said, "Let there be light." And it's not just light in our surroundings, but light within us, because we're supposed to find the light within us. And the
Right.
connection of that light to our creator is actually what creates that healing bridge. And that's how I see it in my head. So when Patricia talks about, light healing, it's not just in you, it's not just in the sun, it's not just in our creator, but it's also in the energies from every single thing around us. There are energy lights coming from our plants, from our trees, from the ground, from everywhere, which is trying to tap into every part of our universe. And it's a matter of trying to, get hold of that, get that to pass through us, or for us to be able to work with it, and be one with nature. Because isn't that what we were created for? We were created to actually be a part of this whole universe. So understanding how to just stop and listen and accept and make use of that healing is really really powerful. And as you said, Patricia, the biggest thing with that is meditation. I remember the first time I did my meditation was in a retreat that I did in Baguio City in the Philippines. And I was asked to, like, go in within me. And I remember when I was going in within me, it was, she made me picture bells, like there's a bell within a bell within a bell, and you're going within you. And then afterwards, you see the light coming out of you, because in silence, in stillness, that's when you actually tap into your strongest healing self, or your inner self. And that's what the healing light is about. But understanding that, Patricia, can you just explain to me, because I love your healing bed, your light bed. I don't know if we'll have a chance to actually see it behind you there somewhere, but there are different crystals attached to it, and different crystals emit different types of light healing rays and energies. And can you just briefly talk to us about that, and how that healing just makes us get, feel better, get better, and even go into deep meditation even?
Mm. Mhm. Yes, I will, Michelle. Yes, you're quite right. Sunlight, this golden light, yeah, within us is sunlight. It's our sun, and we all have that sun. And it's about increasing our sun energy, our light energy of who we really are. And the crystalline healing bed has 7 Vogel quartz cut crystals from Brazil. They're clear quartz. They're cut in special ways to shine light into each of our energy centers or chakras, our main energy centers along our spine. You've probably heard of those. They're subtle energy centers, but they're also very physical as well. And they bring in life force energy, yeah, to us more and more. And they're also colored, so they vibrate to a certain color frequency and show a color frequency to each of the chakras. And when I position these over you and turn them on with your healing intention, calling in what helpers you may need from spirit as well, what they do is they pulse energy and light and color into your energy centers, into your chakras, the 7 major chakras. And when that happens, you go into a very, very deeply relaxed state. And this is what happens the first time people go on it. You start to feel very, very relaxed and very still. And when you're in that stillness and that state of deep relaxation, that's when your body can actually heal. We need to be in that stillness and that sort of deep, deep, deep relaxation. And then sometimes people actually get messages then from them that come up spontaneously from within them about what they need to do for healing, what needs attention, how they can do it, where they can go. Sometimes even ancestors come in to advise them if that's what they're connected to. But the main thing is that it brings you into this very, very deep state of silence, of that inner silence. And that's where we start to heal, when we're in that space. So whichever way we can get into that, through the crystal healing bed, through meditation, through walking in nature, whatever it is that we can do to get into that state. People sometimes go into those beautiful hydrotherapy, what do they call, like healing chambers, have you seen them? They're quite good too. What a deep massage can sometimes do that for people. Whatever modality you use that gets you into that state is very beneficial for your healing, because it calms you, it calms your whole being down. And that is actually in Ayurveda the first stage of doing what's called panchakarma, to resolve some deep issues that you might have, is to first calm the nervous system, to just really, really come down and restore the nervous system. I often feel that people who are in depression, actually, and this is sort of being shown to be true to some extent, have a nervous system, first of all, that's very depleted, right? They're very depleted in their nervous system. And this can cause a lot of illness. So being in that real state of calm and stillness and deep relaxation, that's when our body starts to heal. It just sort of happens. That's when we really can tap into that healing energy that we all have within us. It's very amazing.
I love that story. I keep muting myself so that we're not both. If we have both our mics on, it's when the static happens for some reason. So, but yeah, I love that bed. And you're right. I mean, when I got into that bed, I just was so relaxed. And I remember you saying when you walked in, you looked like you were just so overwhelmed. And then I got up and I just had this smile on my face, and I was just all well. And I mean, mind you, it doesn't necessarily mean, and I'm not saying, you lie on that bed and you get up and you're all done. It wasn't that way, but it was like there was so much clarity in what I had to do next. And there was so much clarity about what was going on. And that calling, and I was telling you, I was getting these callings from herbs that I haven't even thought about. And when I say calling, it's like they come into my head and I know exactly what I need to do with them. And at one point, I remember I said to Patricia, I've got this herb that it's in my head and I can't even think what it is. And we walk out into your garden, Patricia, and then I found it in your garden. I said, that's it. And it was so funny. And it was mullein. Oh, no, 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 not mullein. It was mugwort. Mugwort was the herb that was in my head. And it wasn't even something I was thinking about at the time. So it was just amazing how the calling came. But this connection, and I truly believe that, because I remember I would have moments in Canberra winter, or yeah, I guess anywhere, but I had moments in Canberra winter before when, despite the winter, I go out in my garden and start gardening. And I'd find that connection and that relief and that calm that comes to being connected to the ground and to the light, and I guess to the herbs. And all of a sudden it changes your mood, it changes how you feel. You haven't done anything different. It was just that you were connected, you were connecting to it. And it may sound silly, but if during this difficult time, a lot of people have been left indoors, and a lot of people have been found that they can't go out because of isolation or being self-isolated, you can still connect. You can open your windows and just connect to the light, for starters. The other thing is, if you've got household plants, connect with your plants inside. Cut up some herbs. I think that's a really good place to start. And Patricia, in Jakarta, I don't really have the garden that was here in Canberra, but I've got like peppermint in a pot, and that's what I would do. I would just pick up those herbs and create a tea and just feel the healing. What else would you recommend to people that are in self-isolation? Because like Indonesia, my friends are still in self-isolation, and there are some other places around the world where they're in that situation. How else can they connect to the healing energy?
What's your question exactly? How else can people get in touch with the healing within themselves and around
Healing.
them?
That's
They're
right.
not.
If they're unable to get out of their homes, we're talking about connecting in nature and going out, getting the sun, getting the you know the soil, the plants. But if they only have their homes, how can they connect to healing from there?
Well, they can certainly bring as many plants inside as they are able to, and many people do that who live in apartments and in close quarters. I know in China, just about everybody has a little mugwort plant on their windowsill or in their home, and actually malaria is very unusual in China, because mugwort actually relates to that Chinese herb Qing Ho. It's in the same plant family, and it's a major treatment for malaria, and people have actually made remedies from that, so and pharmaceuticals from that plant. So people do have the awareness that they can bring these substances, these natural substances and foods. You can certainly get in touch with food, because even if you're isolated, you're going to be able to get food from somewhere, aren't you? Which has been a great thing, really. You know, even in China, they brought people food on their little scooters and bicycles and left it for them. So you're always going to be in touch with your food. So eating a more plant-based diet can be very helpful. I've been doing that recently, and it gives you a lot more vitality. Even if you do eat some meat and fish and whatever, you concentrate on a plant-based diet. Eating plants, eating vegetables and fruits. Mostly people can do that. And that is very beneficial too, because, you know, plants hold that, as you say, plants hold that sunlight energy, which is the life force. So the more plants you can eat, the more vegetables you can eat, the better. You can also get in touch with that healing energy and really move the energy in your body through movement. I know it's hard to move when you're sort of isolated inside, but I mean, you can still do things like stretching and yoga and dancing. Just put on the music, your radio, and just move, just dance, you know, whatever. So movement helps to sort of move the energy in your body as well, and move out sort of stuck energies and emotions. That's a very healing thing to do. So you can, and you can always sit and meditate and connect with your own inner light. So there are all these things you can still do. And you do have to eat to stay alive and drink water. So, and that is usually still available for people in our society, which, you know, sort of we're quite lucky here that that's still available to us. Even when we're in isolation, we will still be able to go to the supermarket and buy some food, or the supermarket will come to us, or food will come to us in some way. And well, food is our medicine as well, isn't it? So eat lots of plants if you can. Plant-based diets are the big thing at the moment. You've probably noticed that too, haven't you? Smoothies, green smoothies, getting that green energy, because green is that photosynthesis. It's the sunlight. It's the life force. So you've done that too, haven't you, Michelle? Yeah.
That's right. Yes. I think the other thing that I'd like our audience to understand is that healing isn't complicated. We just like complicating things. I always say, if you want to get better, if you want real healing, go back to basics. So if you're thinking now, okay, well, Patricia and Michelle said, you know, get plants in, let's start having herbs. What herbs should I take? One thing that Patricia taught me before, she said, look at what's growing around you,
Yeah.
and you will know what herbs are coming to you because you need them. And I remember, Patricia, I was trying to get rid of this weed that was growing in my garden until I found out it was violets. And I go, oh my God, Patricia's so right. Violets are something that I need. I didn't even recognize them. And, you know, they were there. Not everyone understands herbs. So I wouldn't say pick up anything that's growing outside, you know, as weed in your garden. But it wouldn't hurt maybe to take photos, send us the photos, you know, talk to us, let us know what's growing around you, because really the universe has its ability to bring towards you healing. And if you know how to meditate and call upon healing, healing goes to you, healing comes to you, because that's how strong we are. You know, as a human being, Patricia, I'm usually amazed at what we can do, that we underestimate. We underestimate our ability to call on healing. We underestimate our ability to rebalance ourselves. So, you know, open your eyes and your heart to that, because it's only when you open to it that you're actually able to make it come in freely and easily. Do you have
Yes,
anything to
that
add
is
to
so
that?
true, Michelle. Yeah, that's so true. Notice the herbs around you. Like when I said with my son, with his otitis, ear infections, and bronchitis when he was, you know, from when he was 3 or whatever. The healing herb that I learned about was actually growing on the hills around Canberra, wild, right? Mulane it was, and it was there. It was there for people. And this was sort of almost like a generational thing, because a lot of kids of his, he was born in 1978, around that time, a lot of kids were having trouble with their ear infections, right? Otitis, you might remember it. And mullein is a remedy for it. And it was growing all around us, but we weren't seeing it. We weren't seeing it. So, yeah, connecting with the herbs around you is very interesting. And even when you're going out in nature on walks and things, you will suddenly see something that you is sort of in profuse flower at the moment, and you can't sort of miss it because it's just everywhere. This happened when I went on walks with my husband and friends to Kosciuszko, into the Snowy Mountains area too. A whole field of gentian, a whole field of yarrow, or a whole field of mountain celery would suddenly appear. And it's about trusting that thing, that if you're there and it's there, it's there for a reason, right? It's trying to tell you something, right? If you want to listen to it. And of course we have a choice to listen to it or not. That's up to us. But when we do, it sort of starts to tell us things that, oh, okay, what'll happen? I got curious, I suppose. I thought, what'll happen if I sort of make a tincture here, right here? Now, I used to bring my brandy with me in my bottles and everything on the trips, and make tinctures as I was going. You know,
Yeah, I do the same. I do the same. Oh my gosh.
and I would bring them back to the people in my clinic and to my family and whatever. And sure enough, it's being in that sort of synchronicity, isn't it? Into that flow. You start to get into that flow of life. And it's a wonderful feeling when you're there. And I mean, everyone has experienced that to some extent in some way, being in that flow of life, and how magical it feels. But it's magic, but it's also very normal. It's very, it's actually our true nature and the way we're meant to be living in whatever situation we're in. I mean, we need to have that, even if we're CEOs in a company or whatever, or living in the city. We need to be in that flow of connecting with the energies and the people around us, and knowing what the next right thing is to do, and all of that. So it's an attitude that actually assists us in all walks of life, not in healing, but in our work, in even in high executive type work, or any sort of work. People will talk about how they're into that flow, and then things flow easily and the answers come to you, about what you need to do next and whatever, intuitively. It comes from a skill and knowledge base, of course, as well. But you can then use that skill and knowledge base in a way that is very beneficial to success, to
That's right.
abundance, to actually thriving in your life. So wherever you are. So yeah, it's just amazing how when you start noticing everything around you, and that it's sort of like an attitude. It's a state of being, isn't it? It's a state of being in that state of being, but still doing, but from that place of centeredness and stillness and groundedness. That's what groundedness actually is. So, sometimes we're thrown out of that. Okay, that happens. But we can also bring ourselves back to that state if we need to, which is, it's a great skill to have. Yeah, yeah.
I love how you said even CEOs need it, because sometimes people focus so much on growing their business, making money, that people forget about the basics. And I'm not saying it's bad to go for the money. I totally agree with that. And even in our practice, even as health coaches or as naturopaths or herbalists, if we don't charge and make money, we can't continually help others. It's just how things work these days. But needing to stop and just rebalance yourself, I think, is really crucial. And if you don't do it, events around you will force you to do it, like this event right now. And
Yes.
if you want to get back to connecting, the simplest way to do it is start creating your little garden from home. And I've started talking to people about, converting store-bought veggies and cutting them properly and putting them in water before planting to actually start raising your own, creating your own organic garden. And that's where you start. Remember that the herbs that you use for cooking are exactly the same herbs we use for creating the remedies. Because fact is, this is an age-old practice. This is something that our ancestors did. They realized that our food is our medicine, and our medicine is our food. So start with the basics. Start with what? Parsley, coriander, uh, celery. What else can we plant on our windowsill? Peppermint, lemon balm, all these things.
Yeah.
Peppermint, Patricia, to this day is one of the best herbs, simple herbs from home that I've taught my children to have and take for boosting the immune system. If they've got a respiratory issue, or if they need concentration, it's a heal all almost herb, isn't it? And it's a simple peppermint.
Yes, most certainly. Start with the basics, and remember the old, you might not remember this, but the old hippies used to, in the 60s and 70s and even 80s, the sprouting was big. You could sprout alfalfa, you could sprout mung beans, you could sprout things on your windowsill. And kids used to do it. They used to have a lot of fun with doing that, because you have to pay attention to it every day,
That's
to
right.
to out. And sprouts have the most incredible nutritional properties. And I mean, you don't take vitamin tablets, then you can just eat the sprouts, and you're getting so much nutrition from them, and all your vitamins and minerals and everything. So growing things, yeah, just on your windowsill in the form of sprouting can be a really easy way to start getting in touch with things. But also, growing a pot of, as you say, of parsley. I put parsley just about in everything that I cook.
That's right.
Um, and having that awareness with your food is our medicine. And I used to teach my children about this too, that when you're serving a meal, make sure it's got lots of colors in it. Eating
Yes,
rainbow. I used to call it eating rainbow food, right? All the different colors give you all the different nutritional aspects and whatever. So making your food very colorful can be a very simple but very fun way of making sure that you get a wide range of nutritional foods that will support you in your health. So that can be really useful too. So you can do a lot of things in the home, and even if you're living in an apartment. You can grow things in pots. You can grow things on your windowsill. Actually, I just saw something on Facebook the other day where this guy has his whole house just full of plants, like this apartment full of plants. There's plants everywhere. So he's obviously got in touch with it in a big way. So being in touch with plants can just be so amazing. Sometimes people are really in touch with healing energy through crystals as well, of course, like with the
that's right.
crystal light
Yeah,
bed. So their whole house full of crystals, and all the crystals are earth energies that have different healing properties as well. So you may not be a plant person, you may be a crystal person, or you may be getting in touch with, oh, I don't know, healing in whichever way your personality sort of calls you. But crystals are a big healing way too of getting in touch with the healing energies. So at the moment, for example, I'm wearing a nice amethyst crystal. I'm very in touch with amethyst at the moment. So we're coming up to the full moon in Pisces tomorrow. So amethyst is a very Pisces energy. And of course, getting in touch with with astronomy and astrology and the sky, the heavens is really incredible too. People love stargazing or star watching, or just being in touch with with astrology. Astrology is a wonderful way of exploring sort of your birth chart, your map for living in this incarnation, really, your guide map. And people do it through that as well. The old herbalists always used to assign certain astrological planets and aspects to certain herbs as well, like mugwort is a moony energy, right? And that, so the cosmos, the universe is influencing us as well. So there are all these sort of influences upon us, and it just depends on where your attention is going, like where your energy flows, where your attention goes. So you can find healing in lots of different ways. That's for sure. Yeah.
I think if anything, guys, what I want you to get from this couple session that we have today is that you need to start, if you have never done it, experimenting on tapping into the energy healings, the healing energy, sorry. And for the next 30 days, you know how here on Facebook or on Instagram, Patricia, there are exercises that they put forward, and they go, for the next 30 days, put out an Instagram post on this, or do a live on this. My challenge to all of you today is, for the next 30 days, tap to one sort of healing energy. If you're able to go out and walk under the sun, do that for the next 30 days. If that's something that you've never done before. Or if you've got a body of water outside you, walk alongside that body of water for the next 30 days. The other one that I would like to encourage, especially if you're in places where you're not really close to the water, like people in Jakarta, or we can't exactly always have amazing sunlight, then start your home garden. Start turning your store-bought plants into your little garden at home, because just the act of working with the plants, allowing the plants to thrive, helping the plants to grow, starts that healing energy. And you will be connecting to plants that actually help you. Even if you don't know what it is, it doesn't matter, because as Patricia and I said, when you open yourself to healing, the healing energy comes to you. The plants that you need come to you. The food that you need come to you. So just experiment on that. And for the next 30 days, find your healing energy. If it's crystals, find the crystals that connect with you. Or, like Patricia was saying, amethyst is hers. My birthstone's amethyst, and I've always been connected to amethyst. So if you've never done that, or if you've never worn that, let's just say, pendant of crystal that you love, do that for the next 30 days and just see how life transforms. And you know what? We'd love to hear how it's affecting you. Share it with us. And, if you've got any questions for Patricia or myself, put it in any of the platforms that you find this live event coming out in, and we'll answer your questions. Patricia, have you got any last minute messages for our audience?
Yeah. That's a wonderful thing we do, yes. And certainly, discover something that you can do within your realm that brings you more in touch with your healing ability. And if, as you said, even walking in nature or being in the sun or eating certain things or just connecting into that inner space of the heart in meditation, just drop with your breath into your heart space and just ask what it is you need to know right now for your healing, and let it just come up. And just when it comes up from you, just trust it. Trust that's your soul, your spirit telling you what you need to hear or know at that time. And you have had that before. But just focus on it sort of more intently and with more focus perhaps, and just act on it, and share it, please, with us. I think you've posted some of my details, haven't you, Michelle, about on here, and I'll be happy to answer any questions or any comments with you about what happens when you really connect with that part of yourself that knows what you need, and you act on it. You need to act on it and see and observe what the result is. And that gives us confidence then to keep doing that when we consciously first do it and notice it. So even if it's just an act of simply meditating, right, on what it is you need to know, and even if you don't have big meditation skills, just concentrate on your breath, have the intention of going within, asking a question, and then just dropping deeply into your heart space with your breath, and you'll come to that still point. And for sure, something will arise that will help you, for sure. Yeah. So, yeah, this is a bit of a challenge for us all, isn't it, Michelle? We can do it too, hey? We'll tell you what
That's
happens when
right.
we'll our talk.
The key, remember, the
Yeah.
key is do something you haven't done. Because if you've always been doing something, then you're gonna go back to doing that. It just means that there's something that's lacking. Remember, it's about balance, balancing and tapping to all the energies. So if there's an energy healing that you haven't tried before, tap to that energy, and it cannot not help, right?
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So I'll have Patricia's details. If you are seeing this on Instagram, I've hashtagged Patricia on Instagram, but we also have her Instagram pages. She's got 2 Instagram pages that are both on the post on Instagram. I will also be posting her Facebook page and link here so that you can tap into that one and join us. Now, Patricia has got her 6-week program. We will be promoting her 6-week program here as well. And we will be organizing a few more things for you to be able to just help you start learning how to tap into the energy. And if you've never done it, don't fear. Give this a try. And I promise we'll go on and give you other little workshops that you can do with us as well to help you keep going with learning about the healing energies around you, because there's so much. And you don't have to be a herbalist or a naturopath to tap into those. You can tap into those. Those are freely available for all of you. And understanding what's available and how to make use of it is really what we want you to learn, because it's a huge difference. Rather than, it's almost like you're just walking when you're doing your walks and not seeing what's happening around you, and now you're doing it this time, being aware of all the healing energies as you walk through the paths, as you touch the trees that you pass by, as you see the plants and the flowers. All this awareness converts to energy and converts to like a communication between you and the universe. So give it a try. Did you
Okay.
enjoy
And
that, Lisa?
too, don't forget the animals too.
Oh, that's
Being in
right.
touch
Yes,
with your animals is a big thing too for people. Yeah. Yeah.
that's right.
Okay.
Thank you so much,
Everyone.
everyone. And we have been here for an hour, and I'm glad that everyone's been posting. I haven't, sorry, let me just see if I can see the comments. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But again, as I said, we'll keep going to all the different platforms and we'll respond to your questions as we see them. Have a great day, everyone, and thanks for joining our cuppa. My cuppa today was berries, so strawberry, longanberry, and raspberry. And Patricia, what was yours again?
Dandelion root. Dandelion
Dandelion
root.
root. Good
Yeah.
detox root.
Yeah. Happy healing.
Good. Everyone, have a
Yeah.
great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.